There was a young man who worked as a monster appraiser, part of a team of 3 adventurers. The team included Eno, the appraiser, along with Zaid and Jolene. They were on a mission inside a cave when a large rat attacked Zaid. In response, Zaid struck the rat forcefully with his weapon, injuring it. Meanwhile, Jolene was preparing a spell to deal with the rat. Zaid asked her if she was finished, to which she replied that it would only take a little more time. Once the spell was ready, she unleashed a fiery attack on the rat, burning it completely and eliminating it. Zaid remarked that the creature had been defeated, to which Jolene responded, claiming the success was due to her spell. Zaid retorted, saying they had both contributed to the victory. He then called out to Eno, asking him to assess the monster, and mockingly referred to him as Garbage Collector. Eno corrected him, stating his title was Appraiser. Eno stumbled under their weight while trying to move. Jolene turned to Zaid, asking him not to address Eno that way, pointing out that Eno was not from the same social class as them, but rather from a poorer background. Eno explained that he had fallen due to the heavy load he was carrying. He then approached the rat to begin his appraisal. As he worked, he reflected on his life, recalling that at birth, humans draw strength from 2 sources, white forces and black forces. Through rigorous training, these abilities are improved. The world, he remembered, was divided into 3 distinct classes, the first belonging to nobles and soldiers, the second consisting of adventurers like Zaid and Jolene, and the third being his own class, made up of appraisers and the poor. He lamented how each son often followed in their father's footsteps, inheriting their roles. However, since his father had passed away, Eno had been unable to complete the same path, and had left his village to become an adventurer, aspiring to amass wealth. Eno finished his appraisal and discovered that the rat's teeth were extremely valuable. He attempted to extract them but found them incredibly tough. Zaid asked Eno if they would be staying much longer. Eno looked at them and admitted he couldn't extract the teeth on his own, requesting their help. Jolene mockingly told Eno that collecting trash was a job for a garbage collector. Zaid, annoyed, told Eno that he couldn't put such trash in his bag or even touch it. Frustrated, Zaid threw a small stone at Eno's head, angering him. Eno glared at Zaid, but Zaid approached him, asking why he was looking at him that way, and then kicked him, pushing him back. Jolene told Eno that he should be grateful they included him in their team and showed him kindness. She added that he should follow orders without question. Saddened and bleeding from his mouth, Eno apologized and promised not to repeat his actions. He then returned to the rat and used a knife to extract its valuable teeth for selling. Jolene watched Eno as he reached into the rat's mouth and told him she would never do such a thing, no matter the cost. Eno thought to himself after retrieving the rat's parts that they were right. He was merely scavenging trash from monsters. Zaid then commented that he hired Eno specifically for such tasks, ensuring he wouldn't have to touch anything himself. He urged Eno to hurry so they could leave. Eno agreed and reminded himself that he had to endure such treatment to survive in this world. He started walking behind them as they made their way out of the cave. On their way, Zaid spotted the corpse of a creature known as a hellhound. He immediately ordered Eno to assess it. Eno hesitated, pointing out that something was wrong since hellhounds shouldn't be in this area. Zaid, angry at the remark, kicked Eno from behind and demanded he follow orders without questioning or talking too much. Jolene remarked that they were lucky because the items from this type of hellhound could be sold for a significant amount of money. Zaid remarked to Jolene that they were indeed fortunate. As he looked around, he spotted another dead hellhound in a different passage. He instructed Eno to finish assessing the first hellhound and move to the second one. Eno objected, pointing out that his map showed only one passage in that area. Zaid dismissed the concern, saying the map might be wrong and told him to stop worrying about trivial matters. Eno insisted they should leave quickly, but Zaid accused him of disobedience. He threatened Eno, saying if he refused to follow orders, he would have to leave the team, forfeit his pay, and leave behind the bag of items. He gave Eno the choice: stay and obey or leave immediately. Eno, recalling his past rejections by other teams and his struggle to secure this job, decided he couldn't afford to lose it. He reluctantly agreed to stay. Jolene mocked him, saying he should have agreed from the start. They continued walking and encountered more dead hellhounds. Zaid was overjoyed by their luck, but Eno grew increasingly uneasy. He voiced his concerns, questioning why so many hellhounds had been killed but their resources left untouched. Zaid, irritated, told Eno to be quiet and stop bothering them. Eno urged him to observe the direction where the hellhounds were killed. Suddenly, a group of live hellhounds appeared, causing panic among the group. Jolene, alarmed, asked what they should do, admitting that neither she nor Zaid could defeat them alone. Zaid agreed, saying he couldn't continue fighting endlessly. Jolene asked how they could escape. Zaid instructed her to cast a paralysis spell on Eno. Jolene complied, immobilizing Eno, who fell to the ground. Zaid called out to the Hellhounds, offering them food, referring to Eno. As the Hellhounds attacked Eno, biting him all over his body, he was helpless due to the paralysis spell. When the spell wore off, he grabbed a large rock and struck the Hellhounds to push them away. Desperately, he threw the food from his bag to distract the creatures. Taking advantage of the diversion, he stood up and attempted to escape despite the pain from the wounds on his leg. However, as he tried to flee, Zaid and Jolene blocked the passage he was heading toward. Filled with intense anger, Eno found himself walking toward a place with no escape, a path that only led to death. He faced a desperate question. Should he let the Hellhounds kill him or jump to his death? As despair overwhelmed him, he moved closer to the edge, consumed by thoughts of his worthlessness. He told himself that his life held no meaning and that everyone treated him like trash. With nothing left to lose, he leapt off the cliff. As he fell, he questioned why he was even born. Eno resolved in his hopelessness to end his life for good, but instead of hitting solid ground, he landed in a small lake. Bleeding and barely conscious, he was approached by a woman who gently embraced him as he drifted into unconsciousness. When Eno awoke, he was shocked to find himself alive and fully healed. Looking upward, water from above splashed on him. He instinctively appraised the water and discovered it came from the Tree of Life. He looked further and appraised the tree itself, realizing it was the legendary World Tree. This was the very tree that provided mana to all living beings. For years, people believed it had vanished, though its continued mana flow suggested otherwise. Eno recalled hearing that some scholars theorized the tree existed in a hidden location. Expeditions had been launched to find it, but no one had ever succeeded in locating it, until now. Eno looked at the tree and expressed his gratitude, believing it had saved him. He thanked it deeply and acknowledged his hunger, realizing he needed to find food to avoid starving. After bidding farewell to the tree and thanking it once more, he moved toward a door in front of him. He thought to himself that there might be no monsters beyond the door, but if there were, they would likely be stronger than the Hellhounds. The memory of the Hellhounds and what he endured enraged him, prompting him to hit himself in frustration, trying to forget the past and not feel weak. Determined, Eno grabbed a small stone and resolved to carve his own path forward. As he moved on, he encountered no monsters and felt relieved. He reminded himself to focus on finding an exit. Suddenly, he was struck by a blow that severed his ears, leaving him in excruciating pain. Shocked, he reached for his ears, but before he could react, another strike cut off his fingers. Desperate, Eno looked around to identify his attacker. Using his appraisal ability, he discovered it was an S-class monster, far stronger than the Hellhounds. The monster continued its relentless assault, inflicting wounds all over Eno's body. Writhing in agony, he collapsed to the ground. Realizing he couldn't defeat the monster, he told himself he had to escape before it killed him. Just as the monster prepared to deliver another deadly blow, its attack was suddenly interrupted. A massive creature appeared and killed the smaller monster. Eno appraised the new beast and, overwhelmed with fear, watched as the bear-like creature turned its attention to him. The bear struck Eno, injuring his eye and causing blood to flow heavily. It then grabbed him, slamming him against the walls repeatedly, leaving him bleeding from his mouth. The creature opened its jaws to devour Eno, ready to end his life. At that moment, a heroic figure appeared, defending Eno and killing the bear. The woman told Eno that she had come to his aid at the request of another human. Before he could process her words, Eno lost consciousness. When he awoke, he found himself back beneath the tree, fully healed once again. In front of him sat the same girl who had saved him and healed him the first time. Eno was stunned by her beauty and couldn't help but continue gazing at her in awe. Ursula, Yuri's mother, informed him that Yuri had prepared tea for him and insisted he drink it. Yuri handed him the tea gently, but Ursula forcefully poured it into his mouth. After drinking it, Eno remarked that the tea was delicious, which brought a bright smile to Yuri's face. Curious about his saviors, Eno asked if they were the ones who had rescued him. Ursula confirmed, explaining that it was only because of Yuri's plea that she intervened. Without her daughter's request, Ursula admitted, she would have left him to the mercy of the monsters. Ursula then instructed Eno to bow and sincerely thank Yuri for saving his life. Obliging, Ino thanked Yuri, causing her to blush with embarrassment. However, Ursula slapped him and demanded he address her daughter as Lady Yuri, instead of simply Yuri. She followed this with a harsh kick, but Yuri intervened, asking her mother to allow Ino to call her by her name alone. Surprised by the interaction, Ino asked Ursula if she was truly Yuri's mother. Ursula confirmed, explaining that not only was she Yuri's mother, but she also served as the guardian of the World Tree. She revealed that there were 9 World Trees in existence, and that her role was to protect this particular tree from external threats until its roots were fully established. Ino, intrigued, asked if Ursula had planted the tree herself and if she lived there permanently. Ursula affirmed both, revealing that she had been residing there for a very long time. Continuing his questions, Ino asked if Yuri was human. Ursula explained that Yuri was not human, but the spirit of the World Tree. Shocked by this revelation, Ino turned to Yuri and told her she was an incredibly beautiful spirit, which caused her to blush once more. Ursula, however, hit him again and scolded him for making such comments about her daughter. She sternly added that she hadn't healed his eye just so he could ogle Yuri inappropriately. Ino explained to Ursula and Yuri that the bear's attack had left him with severe injuries all over his body, including the loss of his eye. Ursula revealed that she had used drops from the World Tree to heal his wounds and crafted a new eye for him using special herbs from the tree. She emphasized that he owed his recovery to Yuri's request. Without her intervention, Ursula wouldn't have helped him. Turning to Yuri, Ino asked why she had gone to such lengths to save him. Yuri's response was simple. She had done it because he had thanked her. Ursula then explained the unique circumstances of this place. She shared that everyone who stumbled upon the World Tree had been saved by Yuri, but none had ever shown gratitude. Instead, they exploited the tree, cutting its branches for their own gain upon learning of its magical properties. Ino, she pointed out, was the first person to ever thank Yuri. Moved, Ino turned to Yuri and expressed his gratitude once more, causing her to blush deeply. Ursula, however, interrupted the moment, telling Ino it was time for him to leave. She instructed him to go immediately, making it clear that his presence was no longer welcome. Yuri, alarmed, pleaded with her mother, insisting that the outside world was too dangerous for him to face alone. Ursula responded that she could not leave Yuri or the World Tree, as her role was to guard them both. She added that teleportation magic did not function in this area, leaving Ino with no easy way out. Yuri, tears streaming down her face, begged her mother to reconsider. Seeing her daughter so upset, Ursula hugged her tightly and admitted she couldn't bear to see her cry. She asked Yuri if helping Ino truly meant that much to her. Reluctantly, Ursula agreed to assist, though her frustration was evident. She told Ino that she would train him to survive so he could leave the area safely on his own. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Ino promised to do everything in his power to survive and escape. He hugged both Ursula and Yuri, his emotions pouring out as he thanked them. Ursula pushed Ino away, telling him he was getting too close and needed to focus on his training instead of personal sentiments. She informed him that he would be trained by the greatest combat sage, which filled Ino with excitement. Eager to prove himself, Ursula led him to the training area, and as they walked, Ino nervously asked if he was about to be thrown into a fight right away. Ursula brusquely replied that there was no time for explanations, as delays would cost him his chance to leave this place. Pointing ahead, Ursula asked if Ino could see anything. Ino squinted but admitted he couldn't. Surprised, Ursula reminded him that his eye had been replaced with a piece of the World Tree, granting him enhanced vision. She explained that his inability to see was due to a lack of focus and urged him to concentrate harder. Ino reflected on his encounter with the bear and how the trauma had shaken his confidence, affecting his ability to see clearly. Sensing his struggle, Yuri intervened, channeling the power of the World Tree to restore his sight. When Ino opened his eyes again, a brilliant light appeared, and he finally noticed a monster hanging in the distance. Without warning, Ursula threw a stone to wake the creature, which immediately flew into action, moving with incredible speed. She instructed Ino to track its movements. Confused, Ino asked how he could possibly do that. Ursula explained that his new eye, infused with the power of the World Tree, allowed him to appraise creatures with heightened precision far beyond normal human abilities. As Ursula explained, the monster lunged at her, but she effortlessly dodged the attack. Meanwhile, Ino successfully appraised the creature, but before he could react, it targeted him, striking him with its weapon and severing his ears. Overwhelmed by the pain, Ino fell to the ground. Ursula scolded him harshly, telling him he needed to focus and stop faltering. When he tried to stand, his legs gave out and he collapsed again. Ursula retrieved a container of water, pouring its contents over his severed ears. Instantly, the pain vanished, Ino, stunned by the rapid recovery, thanked her. Ursula explained that Yuri had provided water from the world tree to heal his injuries during training. She reassured him that no matter how badly he was hurt, they could heal him, so he didn't need to hold back or worry. Ino admitted that the training was far more challenging than he had expected. Ursula, with an air of resolve, told him they couldn't afford to stop now, as time was running out. Determined, Ino refocused his attention on the monster, using his enhanced vision to appraise it again. He realized it was preparing to strike his left leg. Waiting for the precise moment, he managed to dodge the attack successfully. Turning to Ursula, he proudly began to announce his success. Before he could finish speaking, however, the monster struck again, wounding him once more. Ursula reminded Ino that dodging one attack wasn't enough. Survival depended on constant vigilance and the ability to evade repeatedly. Ino, chastened, told himself to stay focused and not let pride cloud his judgment until he had fully defeated the monster. With renewed determination, he dodged several more attacks, relying on his appraisal ability to anticipate the monster's movements. Feeling confident, he smiled and asked Ursula for her thoughts. Before she could respond, the monster struck again, injuring him and sending him to the ground in pain. Ursula approached him, pouring the world tree's water over his wounds, healing them instantly. Ino, still lying on the ground, remarked that she seemed to enjoy watching him struggle. Ursula replied with a smirk, explaining that pain was the best teacher. She then praised his progress and announced that he was ready for the next phase, defeating the monster. Hesitant, Ino pointed out that he lacked any combat skills. Ursula laughed and admitted she was aware, which was why she had prepared a special weapon for him. She handed him a wooden sword crafted from the world tree itself. Ursula explained that Yuri had allowed a branch to be cut for this purpose and had specifically requested the sword be made for him. Surprised and touched, Ino thanked Yuri sincerely. Ursula, grabbing him by the collar, warned him with a fierce glare that if he broke the sword, she would kill him herself. That, she instructed him to prepare for battle. Ino engaged the monster, determined to strike before it could get too close. His first attempt failed miserably, prompting him to ask Ursula why his attack hadn't worked. She explained that his strikes were too slow. When Ino asked how to increase his speed, Ursula curtly told him to figure it out himself. Smiling despite the frustration, Ino said he had been waiting for that kind of answer. He refocused and tried attacking again but missed once more. Frustrated, he began to wonder if monsters possessed intelligence similar to humans, but quickly dismissed the thought as absurd. Observing his struggle, Ursula reminded him that his appraisal ability could do more than identify the monster. It could also help predict its movements. Encouraged by this advice, Ino used his appraisal ability to analyze the monster's trajectory. As his focus sharpened, the monster's movements appeared to slow in his perception. With precision and confidence, he swung the wooden sword, landing a powerful blow that instantly killed the creature. Overjoyed, Ino shouted triumphantly, declaring that he had defeated the monster with a single hit. Ursula, unimpressed by Ino's enthusiasm, told him not to celebrate just yet. She gestured toward a group of nearby monsters, instructing him to defeat them all. From a distance, Yuri watched anxiously, silently hoping Ino would be okay. Back in the fray, Ino fought determinedly, eventually defeating the final monster. Turning to Ursula, he eagerly asked for her evaluation of his performance. Ursula grudgingly admitted it was decent, for a human with a good appraisal eye. She then explained their next task, appraising the defeated monster's power and learning how to harness its innate abilities. Monsters, she elaborated, possessed natural powers that could be extracted and used by those skilled enough. Intrigued, Ino asked how he could achieve this, admitting he had no idea how to replicate a monster's abilities. Ursula explained that as a beginner, his focus should be on analyzing and absorbing the monster's information through appraisal. Once absorbed, he could acquire its abilities. She added that thanks to the World Tree Eye, the process would be easier for him and would naturally grant him more combat experience. Acknowledging her guidance, Ino credited Yuri for his enhanced abilities. Ursula sarcastically thanked Yuri, though her tone carried an edge. Following Ursula's instructions, Ino used his appraisal ability to absorb the monster's powers. As the process unfolded, a flood of information rushed into his mind, causing a brief but intense headache. Complaining about the sensation, Ino described it as if the data were scattered in his brain. Ursula dismissed his complaints and encouraged him to test the new power he had gained. Ino attempted to run, only to be amazed by his newfound speed. However, his excitement quickly turned to disaster as he lost control and and fell, tearing his muscles in the process. Ursula calmly approached, poured water from the world tree over his injuries, and reassured him that each time his body broke down, it would heal stronger than before. Determined not to fail, Ino tried again. Over and over, he pushed himself to run, falling repeatedly and injuring himself each time. True to her word, Ursula healed him after every failure. Gradually, his body adapted, his muscles strengthening as they healed. Through relentless effort, Ino finally managed to control his speed. Triumphant, Ino stood tall and declared that he was ready to face the bear. Ursula, unimpressed by Ino's confidence, warned him not to let arrogance take hold, insisting it wasn't the right time to face the bear. Turning away playfully, Ino teased her, prompting an angry outburst. Ursula declared that if he wanted to challenge her authority, she would let him appraise her strength. Intrigued, Ino eagerly asked about her abilities. With a smirk, Ursula conjured flames and set him ablaze. As he flailed in shock, she mockingly asked if he had deduced her power. Furious and charred, Ino demanded to know how he was supposed to figure it out under such conditions. Ursula calmly explained that her ability, known as spellless magic, allowed her to cast spells with mere thought, bypassing traditional incantations entirely. Amazed, Ino admitted that her power was both extraordinary and intimidating. Ursula, still smirking, instructed him to appraise her fire spell and counter it by dispelling the incoming flames. Without warning, she launched another fiery attack, engulfing him once more. Burned and frustrated, Ino cried out but refused to give up. Ursula, unmoved by his protests, commanded him to try again. Ino's repeated attempts to counter the flames ended in failure, leaving him burned and collapsed on the ground. Despite his struggles, he resolved to train for 5 days to master the ability. His limited magical reserves often left him drained. Fortunately, Yuri stepped in, providing him with drops from the World Tree. These drops not only healed his burns, but also replenished his magical energy, enabling him to recover fully when completely depleted. He managed to unleash powerful fireballs and even began harnessing wind magic, a moderate-level magical ability. This progress was made possible by the combination of Ursula's grueling training regimen, the powers he had absorbed from monsters, and the restorative properties of the World Tree. Satisfied with his advancement, Ursula told Ino it was time to stop training. She asked if he was ready to confront the bear for a rematch. Brimming with excitement, Ino agreed eagerly. As they approached the area where the bear awaited, Ino stood before the massive creature, feeling a wave of nervous anticipation. Ursula encouraged Ino, reminding him that he was far stronger than before and capable of defeating the bear if he applied everything he had learned. Ino replied with mock frustration, saying she could have just encouraged him instead of putting him through so much pain. Unfazed, Ursula shoved him forward with her foot, telling him it was time to prove himself. Ino steeled himself, drawing strength from the memories of his past humiliations. He recalled the mistreatment he had endured from his former team, using the pain to fuel his determination. With a firm resolve, he called out to the bear, ready to face it. The bear turned, its menacing gaze fixed on Ino as it began circling him before launching its first attack. Ino countered with a volley of fireballs, but the flames barely seemed to faze the massive creature. However, the smoke created by the fire obscured the bear's vision, allowing Ino to seize an opening. As the bear closed in, Ino used his appraisal ability to anticipate its movements. Timing his counter perfectly, he unleashed a powerful windstorm that struck the beast, inflicting visible wounds. Seeing the bear stagger, Ino pressed the advantage. He unleashed a relentless barrage of fireballs, each one landing with precision. The combined force of his wind and fire attacks overwhelmed the bear, which roared in defiance before collapsing to the ground. Breathing heavily, Ino stood over the defeated creature, feeling a surge of triumph. He declared that he had grown far stronger than before, no longer the weak and helpless person he once was. Overwhelmed with joy and pride, he relished his hard-earned victory. After defeating the bear, Ino appraised it and absorbed its power. Ursula informed him that with the strength he now possessed, no monster could stand in his way. Surprised, Ino asked what she meant. Ursula explained that his training was complete and that it was time for him to return to his world. Ursula then mentioned she had a parting gift for him, something Yuri had specifically requested on his behalf. Though Ursula's irritation was clear, Ino curiously asked about the gift. She handed him a stone, explaining that it would be used to craft a new artificial eye, far superior to the one he already had. She added that it was the final piece of the World Tree. Ino hesitated, insisting that his current eye was already excellent and that he didn't need the new one. Ursula, however, sternly reminded him that the stone wasn't for him to keep. It would be returned after his death. Without further discussion, she ordered him to kneel and inserted the stone into his eye. When the process was complete, Ino commented that he didn't feel any different. As Ino called out for Yuri, she suddenly appeared, visibly flustered. Yuri shyly revealed that she was now a part of the new eye. Ursula explained that, since the stone originated from the World Tree, Ino's vision now matched that of the tree itself. This connection meant that Yuri would always be with him, able to see through his eyes and assist him no matter where he went. Excited, Yuri told Ino that she would accompany him, bringing restorative water from the World Tree to aid him. Turning to Ursula, Ino asked if she was truly comfortable with this arrangement. Ursula, angered by his question, hit him and declared that she would never fully trust a commoner like him with her daughter. When Ino pressed further, asking why she was allowing it, Ursula explained her reasons. She revealed that Yuri had never connected with anyone since her birth, and had never experienced the bonds of friendship. Allowing Yuri to experience the world through Ino was her way of giving her daughter a chance to grow and find happiness. Ursula emphasized that she saw kindness in Ino's heart and made him promise to protect Yuri and ensure her happiness. Moved by her words, Ino swore to Ursula that he would protect Yuri and do everything in his power to make her happy. Satisfied, Ursula extended her hand and cast a spell, granting Ino a final gift for his journey. When he asked what it was, she explained that it was a spell storage system with unlimited capacity, allowing him to carry as many items as he needed. She then handed him a sword, crafted from materials provided by Yuri, naming it the Spirit Sword. Astonished, Ino asked if she was truly entrusting such a weapon to him. Ursula confirmed but warned that there was one final step. Without hesitation, she painfully inserted the sword into his eye, causing him immense agony. As the process concluded, she produced a yellow stone, instructed him to place it in his mouth, and told him to swallow it. When he did, the stone caused his eye to change color. Ursula explained that the yellow stone she had given Ino allowed her to stay connected with him, observing everything he did. She warned him not to overburden Yuri with his requests, expressing her annoyance at the idea. Ino, confident and ready for his journey, turned to Yuri and asked if there was anything she wished to do after leaving with him. Yuri shyly expressed her desire to reunite with her family, her older and younger siblings. Confused, Ino asked what she meant. Ursula clarified that Yuri had originally been part of a group of world trees, but she had come to this place a long time ago, leaving her siblings behind. Realizing the depth of her wish, Ino reassured Yuri, promising to help her reunite with her family. Yuri hesitated, worried she might be a burden, but Ino extended his hand to her, firmly stating that he wanted to meet her family too. Overcome with gratitude, Yuri sincerely thanked him. As Ino ventured into a long corridor, he found himself unsure which direction to take. Ursula's voice echoed in his mind, guiding him to turn left. She added that she had marked arrows for him to follow but warned him about a dangerous, venomous serpent ahead. Confident in his abilities, Ino assured her he would handle it using his appraisal skill. When Ino encountered the serpent, he managed to defeat it after a tough battle. Appraising the creature, he discovered the benefits of its abilities and absorbed its power. However, the process caused an intense, searing pain in his head. Just as the pain became unbearable, it suddenly vanished. Yuri appeared beside him, explaining that she had alleviated his suffering. Grateful, Ino thanked her, making Yuri blush with embarrassment. As he approached a large door, Ursula informed him that beyond it lay the labyrinth's core, protected by a massive and powerful monster. Determined, Ino declared that he was no longer the weak person he had once been. His training and the strength of the World Tree had prepared him for this moment. Yuri reappeared, offering her reassurance and expressing her confidence in his ability to win. Together, they entered the room. Inside, they saw a glowing summoning circle, from which emerged an enormous monster. Stunned by its size, Ino remarked on how massive it was. Concerned for Yuri's safety, he asked her to return to his eye before charging at the creature. The monster struck at Ino with overwhelming force. Though the blow nearly overpowered him, Ino countered by using the venomous ability he had absorbed from the serpent. The poison began to weaken the monster, but it retaliated with its other arm, launching a series of brutal strikes. Ino, breathing heavily, managed to dodge the attacks but acknowledged how close he had come to death. Ursula reminded him that he could use the powerful spell she had given him to end the fight. Surprised, Ino asked if it was truly possible. Ursula confirmed, explaining that the spell was the key to defeating the monster. Summoning all his strength, Ino prepared the spell and unleashed a devastating attack. The blow struck the monster with incredible force, bringing it down. As the massive creature collapsed, Ino stood in disbelief, unable to comprehend that he had won. Yuri appeared joyfully, reassuring him that he had indeed defeated the beast. Overwhelmed, Ino thought to himself that he could not have accomplished this alone. Grateful for her unwavering support, he held Yuri's hand and thanked her sincerely. Following the battle, Ursula instructed Ino to appraise the monster and absorb its power. As he complied, she informed him that there were no more monsters left in the labyrinth to face or appraise. She directed him to proceed to the core. When Ino reached the core, Ursula suddenly appeared beside him, startling him. She explained that, due to their communication link, she could manifest near him whenever she chose. Ursula then described the labyrinth's core as a soul core, capable of of greatly enhancing his strength. Confused, Ino asked for clarification. Ursula explained that the core could amplify his abilities and increase his power. Ino wondered if the core could also enhance his World Tree Eye. Without hesitation, he asked Ursula to use the core to upgrade it immediately. Ursula transferred the power of the core to his eye, a process that caused a rush of energy to flow through him. When Ino opened his eye again, he felt an immense difference. His abilities had now reached level 2. Ursula informed him that if he continued to defeat powerful boss monsters in other labyrinths, his strength would grow even more. After leaving the chamber, the door behind them shut automatically, startling Ino. He rushed to the door, attempting to reopen it, but Ursula explained calmly that once the labyrinth's core was taken, the path to the World Tree was sealed. She assured Yuri that this meant the World Tree would now be safe, its location forever hidden, allowing Yuri to live peacefully as she wished. Ino, shifting focus, asked if they could safely return to the surface. Confident and determined, he urged them to move quickly, and they began their journey out of the labyrinth. Meanwhile, at a bustling tavern, Zaid was entertaining a group of friends with a dramatically exaggerated account of his experience in the labyrinth. He described it as a treacherous place filled with hellhounds, and recounted how Ino had valiantly protected the group, sacrificing himself so Zaid and Jolene could escape. Feigning heartbreak, Zaid even shed fake tears, playing the part of a grieving comrade. Suddenly, a voice interrupted, asking, "Who died?" Zaid? Startled, Zaid spun around to see Ino standing behind him. Shocked, Zaid spat out his drink and demanded to know how Ino was still alive. Ino casually replied that he was as alive as Zaid could see. Furious and suspicious, Zaid grabbed Ino by the collar, demanding to know how he had escaped the labyrinth. Remaining calm, Ino explained that he had defeated the monsters and made it out. Unwilling to believe him, Zaid accused Ino of lying, claiming he wasn't capable of such feats. One of Zaid's friends, confused by his reaction, asked why Zaid was angry at the man he had just credited with saving his life. Taking this opportunity, Ino revealed the truth to everyone. Zaid and Jolene had used him as bait for the Hellhounds so they could escape. Outraged, the other warriors in the tavern began throwing drinks at Zaid and berating him for his cowardice. Before the situation escalated further, Ino stepped in to defend Zaid, urging the others to stop. He explained that, despite Zaid's actions, if he hadn't been brought into their team, he would never have met Yuri or Ursula, nor gained the strength he now possessed. Ino then turned to Zaid, thanked him sincerely, and left the tavern without looking back. The other warriors, astonished by Ino's humility and maturity, remarked on how much he had changed. Later, Ino ventured into a dense forest, where he encountered and defeated a monster of the Daima species. With Ursula's guidance, he absorbed its powers, increasing his strength further and raising his level. The trio continued their journey, focused on finding the rest of Yuri's family. Ursula warned Ino that locating other world trees would not be an easy task, as they were hidden in remote and well-guarded places. Feeling responsible for the challenging journey, Ino apologized to Yuri for the difficulty and time it would take. Yuri, however, reassured him with a gentle smile, explaining that she had chosen this journey herself and didn't mind the effort. As they continued through the forest, a sudden cry for help broke the calm. Yuri urged Ino to investigate, and he instructed her to hide inside his eye for safety. Ino rushed toward the source of the commotion, where he found guards under attack by a group of monsters. Without hesitation, he engaged the creatures. Meanwhile, Yuri and Ursula emerged to tend to the injured guards. After the battle, Ino approached a young girl and a man to ensure they were unharmed. To his surprise, the girl ran to him and hugged him tightly. Startled, Ino turned to the man and asked if he could control his sister. The man introduced himself as Jasper, a prominent merchant, and clarified that the girl was not his sister, but Princess Claudia, the third princess of the kingdom. They escorted Claudia back to her estate, where she expressed her deep gratitude for their help. Ino humbly redirected the thanks to Yuri, explaining that she was the one who had healed the guards and servants. Claudia turned to Yuri with heartfelt appreciation, promising to ensure that everyone else expressed their gratitude as well. When Claudia attempted to hug Ino again, Yuri quickly stepped in, stopping her. Confused, Claudia asked why she couldn't embrace him. After a brief hesitation, Yuri declared that it was because she was Ino's wife. Shocked, Ino froze, unable to process what Yuri had just said. Claudia, unfazed by the revelation, smiled and casually remarked that it was no issue. She would gladly become Ino's second wife. Irritated by the response, Yuri retorted sharply, accusing Claudia of refusing to give up. Claudia shrugged nonchalantly, pointing out that it was common in their era for men to have two wives. This comment further fueled Yuri's frustration, her annoyance clearly visible. Meanwhile, Ursula, unexpectedly emotional, wiped tears from her eyes and expressed her joy at seeing Yuri make a friend so quickly. Jasper, who had been observing quietly, approached Ino and asked to speak with him in private. Curious but wary, Ino agreed and followed Jasper to another room. Once alone, Jasper began bluntly, stating that he wanted to marry Ino. Stunned, Ino spat out his tea in shock, Smiling, Jasper reassured him, promising to explain. He led Eno to a large vault filled with treasures, revealing that he was the custodian of the kingdom's riches, tasked with maintaining their brilliance. Jasper then asked Eno if his left eye was a soul core, describing it as the source of courage and strength. Leaning in, Jasper asked if Eno was familiar with the ancient legends. Still confused, Eno asked what he meant. Jasper explained that, long ago, the World Tree had stood on the surface of the world to seal away Makoran, the demon king who had nearly destroyed everything. The effort had drained the World Tree of its power, leaving behind the Soul Core, which contained its essence. As Jasper spoke, Eno realized that this might explain why the World Tree had retreated to its hidden sanctuary after the Demon King's defeat. Jasper continued, revealing that he had spent years searching for the Soul Core, believing it to be the key to unlocking immense power. By chance, his search had led him to Eno. Finally, Jasper disclosed his true intention. He sought to transfer himself into Eno's eye by any means necessary. Jasper's demeanor grew unsettling as he leaned too close to Eno, gripping him firmly. Before the situation escalated further, Ursula stepped in, pulling Eno away from Jasper. She turned to Eno and, with a hint of sarcasm, asked what he intended to do about Jasper's marriage proposal. Without hesitation, Eno declared that he would reject it outright. Ursula, however, urged him to reconsider. She pointed out that Jasper's extensive knowledge of the world trees and soul cores could prove invaluable on their journey. She added that marrying Jasper would bring wealth, access to rare information, and possibly lead to the discovery of hidden Demas creatures. Eno, clearly uncomfortable with the idea, approached Jasper and suggested an alternative, becoming friends instead of entering into marriage. Jasper smiled, accepting the suggestion with ease. "I have no problem with that," he replied warmly. He then invited Eno to stay at his estate, adding that it could become his home in the future. Before Eno could respond, Claudia and Yuri, eager to be included, hugged him tightly. Claudia cheerfully expressed her desire to embrace him too, while Yuri begrudgingly joined in, her irritation thinly veiled. Eno, caught off guard but amused by their antics, chuckled softly. Curious about Jasper's knowledge, Eno asked if he knew anything about the locations of other soul cores. Jasper nodded in confirmation but warned that these cores were in extremely dangerous and remote locations. He explained that exploring those areas was near impossible for anyone unprepared. Undeterred, Eno pressed further, asking if Jasper could share the locations with him. His determination was evident as he expressed his resolve to obtain them, no matter the challenges. Jasper raised an eyebrow, skeptical, and asked, "Do you really think you can handle it?" Without hesitation, Eno met Jasper's gaze and replied with unwavering confidence, "Yes, I can."